that like if you do like one kind of good like green action, then and you just feel good about that, you're less likely to like continue, because you just feel like that goodness carries on in the day. So say you took the bus instead of taking your car, like you're like, oh, I did my good thing, like I can buy like 10 fashion over like jumpsuits or t-shirts right now, like that's hard. That's something that we have to contend with, and like you said, the convenience as well. So changing your habits is something that's incredibly hard. I think it takes around, some research says it takes like 66 days. And I think people think that, oh, like I bought something that's fast fashion, like, oh, let me just like give up, let me just do that. But it takes time. Like I think people should also give themselves grace. Like, yeah, it's just about making those small changes, like going to a workshop one day, maybe instead of just buying something new, switching the way you wear something that you've already worn, maybe a lot of times, like just doing those small habits. And then if you consistently do that, you'll end up in a better position where your beliefs match up to your behaviors when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I love that you two, you're not, because I know some people in the sustainability space, they're just like, if you act like this, if you buy this, you're dead to me, like you're killing the planet, like just get out of this place. But I think that can turn a lot of people away, right? And it can be quite overwhelming. So I love you guys are doing it in a very like in a mindful, thoughtful, and like in an educational way, which is great. And I want to come to you, Rosette, and ask you, like, how does Revival envision like its role in shaping the future of sustainable fashion, and like what maybe projects or initiatives, what are you working towards to promote like the eco-conscious future consumer?
That's a chunky one. I think the main thing for me is navigating the workshop space a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And having maybe a more consistent process with that. And also embedding that into like maybe corporate worlds as well. So that it actually reaches not just the people who love sustainability, but actually the people who have probably never even thought about sustainability.
Yeah.
Because it's all good and well us being in our little sustainable bubble, but we need to reach the people who actually might not even care or might not even think about how they're consuming fashion, and try and shift their mindset in a way. So thinking about how I can navigate the workshop space and bring it to more people on a bigger scale. I think also I'm really interested in embedding technology in fashion, and I guess exploring more innovative kind of angles with like textiles that can be actually like circular. So that means that, you know, from production to wear and tear to that consumer, you know, enjoying the garment to then the end life of that garment. How can we then keep that loop in a circular kind of shape and not end up in landfill? So I definitely want to explore some projects in, I don't know, the next 5 years, I guess, in the innovative space, and partner up with like people who are in that kind of world, and how we can fuse those two ideas together to create textiles that would be circular. I think that's the main things that I'm kind of like thinking about right now.
I think that's brilliant. I love what you said about popping the sustainability bubble, because I think a lot of times when I get into like these spaces, it's the same people, and it's people who are already believe in these things, right? It's like preaching to the choir. But then if you go down the road and you speak to someone about like ESG goals and net zero, they're like, oh, like what's that? Like they don't know. Like we need to like reach out and talk about these things in a way that is accessible for people to understand and to do, and I think that's incredibly important. So congratulations with that, and I'm loving to see what you're going to do pushing the workshops forward. Lydia, I want to talk a bit more about psychology and like your personal psychology. How do you think psychology influences like your work, and maybe what have you learned about like yourself, your mental well-being? Like how has that helped you facilitate the stuff that you're doing in the sustainability space?
I think in terms of my work, I think it's kind of really like it's obviously slow fashion. I call myself a slow fashion sustainable designer, but in terms of like building the brand, it was like really actually thinking that will then also apply to like how my brand grows, and kind of like, you know, not wanting things to happen instantly and thinking it should be growing really quickly, but kind of when I really like step back and be like, no, it's a slow fashion brand, like things will grow more slowly because of all like the time I'm taking to create things, and because I'm really, the brand is like rooted in its values and in my values. So but then I think maybe compared to watching other brands grow who kind of don't work it as in an upcycling way, so can kind of like mass produce more and grow quicker. I think like it was kind of like really the psychology of being like really like I will grow more slowly and like kind of accepting that.
Yes.
I don't know, the psychology of that sort of thing really is something I've learned, and also like kind of not having I don't know if I'm getting too deep now, but it's like not having like a lack mindset and just always like trying to like maintain like an abundant positive mindset. Like there's so many opportunities constantly coming to me and to everyone else, and then like kind of switching my mindset to be like more like not about like any sort of lack, but always just about like endless, I don't know, has really helped me and my brand grow.
Oh, I love that. I think that's super positive. Maybe Rosette, same question. Like how have you like adapted your well-being or like the way that you think and your mental health to help you like support the growth of Revival?
Yeah, I think similarly, I've thought about like, oh, why am I not like growing on a certain level? And it's like, yeah, because you're trying to do things in a more mindful and conscious way. Like you're not a typical fast fashion brand, so you're not going to be doing, whatever numbers they're